Okay, so chapter 2, we've pretty much been looking at solving inequalities, right? So remember, inequality is a problem just like this. The only thing you do is you get rid of the equal sign, and you put in like a less than, greater than, something like that. Okay? So we're going to start to look at inequalities that have more than one step. Those are the kind of inequalities you guys did last week. One step for every problem. Okay? And the one step was either to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So now we're going to look at multi-steps. So it's just like multi-step equations. The steps are exactly the same. Does anybody remember the 3 letters I gave you? Not PEMDAS, that was different. But I gave you 3 letters. Yeah? What was it? Sam. Yep. Does anybody remember? And you can squeeze this in if you want. We're not going to go through like all the extreme detail because you already have this in your notes from back when we solved equations. But does anybody remember what this S stood for? Simplify. Yep. So the first step was simplify. Now, there's 2 things you have to do under simplify. Anybody remember the first thing you have to do? And we did it in the warm-up today. Yep.
Addition and subtraction.
That's going to be under the A step. So before we get to that, 2 things under simplify. Anybody remember? One of them is a property we have to use. Yep. Distributive. So if you want to write it, you can, but you already have this a long time ago in your notes. Distributive. And then the other one, we actually use 3 letters to describe too. Yep. Combined like terms. CLT. So those are the 2 things you got to do under simplify. Now, Elizabeth just told us what the A is. That's add or subtract. Okay, so we handle that. And then what about the M? What's that one stand for? Yep.
Multiply and divide.
Yep, that's always the last thing. Multiply, divide. Okay, so that's a really short version of what we talked about way earlier on. Now, the one thing that's different here is from solving equations is what do you got to do if you multiply or divide by a negative? We didn't have to do this in the warm-up, but it might come up later on.
You have to switch the sign.
Yeah, you've got to flip the sign. How about when you're adding or subtracting? When would you flip the sign when you're doing adding or subtracting? Yeah?
It's not in the right order.
Okay, so if we have to change the order, we might at the very end of the problem, so you get the variable on the left. But how about like if you add 3 to both sides or subtract 5, would you ever flip the sign when you're adding or subtracting?
No.
No, leave it. Only if you multiply or divide, and only if it's a negative. Okay? All right, so on your guided notes, that's what you should write under the second bullet. What do we need to do if we multiply or divide? Flip the sign. Okay. Other than that, there's really not a lot of things to explain. We're not really doing like a whole new process. Okay? We're just following the rules we've always followed. Good. Just like last week. If they want you to graph it, either in the homework or on the test, they'll put a number line for you. Sometimes that number line might be numbered. Sometimes it might be blank. It depends. Depends how they do it. All right, so they want us to solve this inequality and then graph the solution. So it says 2v minus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. All right, so Blake, first question, is the v by itself? No. If it's not by itself, then you're going to follow whatever steps you need to in that system to get it by itself. You will not necessarily have every step in every problem. Okay? So let's look at S. How about Adriana? Under S, the first thing we have is distributive property. Is there any distributive here? No. What do you look for? How do you know something has distributive? Yeah, you're going to look for parentheses. There's no parentheses. So no, we don't have to worry about that. Jaden, do we have any like terms here? No. Let me skip ahead. There's a problem with like terms. We've got a term with an X and another term with an X. Okay? So if we had that, we would combine it. This one also has distributive too. Okay? We don't have any like terms in this first one. Okay, so S done. Maya, is there any adding or subtracting that we can do?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Add or subtract?
Add.
Yeah. And how much are you going to add?
4.
Nice. So we're going to add 4 on each side. Okay, Leilani, -4 plus 4?
Cancel
It's
that.
gone. That's why we did it. Make that go away. Now, Kelsey, what's on the left side?
8 plus 4.
We'll do that in a sec. We'll start with the left.
Oh, 2B.
You can start with whatever side you want, but I usually just start with that. So 2v. And then 8 plus 4 is 12. And now, James, flip the sign or keep it the same?
The same.
Keep it the same. How come I don't flip it?
Because why would you need it? You don't need to, because there's no multiplication or anything.
So we didn't do any multiplication, right? Here, all we did was add. So you never flip the sign when you add, all right? So don't even worry about it if all you did was add. All right. Now we're in the multiplication and division step. So Olivia, what's my last step?
Divide each side by 2.
Yep, divide each side by 2. 2 divided by 2 cancels out and gives me 1. Now, at this step, I like to write it down right away. Is my sign going to flip or stay the same? Lucas?
How did you divide it?
Flip because I divided it. Does everybody agree, or if somebody doesn't, tell me, he said flipped because we divided.
You keep it the same because you weren't divided by a negative.
Right, we divided, but now we got to say, was it a negative we divided by? And the answer is no. So keep it the same. And how about Kayla, what's 12 divided by 2? 6. Perfect. V is greater than or equal to 6. Yeah.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, just sign up. Great. Any question on that? Julia, are we good? Is there anything else I have to do? I still have to graph it. So I solved it. That's good. Now I want to graph it. Okay, so on your guided notes, do you guys have a number line? Yeah, looks like you have a number line. Okay, what's the first thing I should do with my number line? Some of you might have already done this, but before I even start thinking about like open, close, circle, all that stuff, yeah, I gotta number it. Okay? So you can number it lots of different ways. If you wanted to go like 0, 2, 4, 6, I think that's pretty simple. If you want to go like -6, 0 in the middle, and 6 on the other side, sometimes people do it like that too. Okay, so now we got to decide our circle. Joe, what kind of circle?
I filled in one
How come?
because there's a line under that sign.
Yeah, there's a line under that inequality. So when you have the extra little symbol there, I think of it as, oh, I got to do the extra step and fill in the circle. So there's my circle. And how about, Tristan, which way am I going to shade?
To the right.
Yeah. V is greater than or equal to 6. Greater than means bigger. The numbers that are bigger than 6, you're going to go that way. And that's it. So that's basically what the problems for today are going to look like. It might get a little more complicated, like we didn't have distributive in this one. We're going to do one in a little bit, but that's the basic idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the 0 on the number line doesn't always have to be centered?
No. No. I mean, you could put 0 way over here if you wanted.
That's so much easier.
Yep. So you might notice that on like a test. If I had a problem that I wanted you to graph and the number was really, really high, I might put 0 on the left, so I've got a lot of space to make my numbers go up really high. If you put 0 in the middle, that's good if you need a little bit of positive and a little bit of negative. But if all you need is positive, it's probably better to just put the 0 way over here. Okay, let's look at example 2. Okay, a couple of things different. Anybody tell me one thing that's different in this one? Haley?
Oh, there's brackets.
There's,
Well, parentheses.
yeah, there's a grouping symbol. Okay, you could have brackets, this one has parentheses. So we've got that. Anybody see what else is different too? We might want to be careful about this and fix it at the very end. Yeah?
The X is in first.
Right, the X is, where is the X? It's on the right. The problem with that is when you're done, if you leave the X on the right, it's going to tell you the wrong way to shade. So we might want to keep that in mind and fix it at the very end. Some people fix it at the beginning. That's okay too. I'm gonna fix it at the end. Okay, so let's go through our steps. How about Gianna? Anything I have to do under the simplify step? Think about the two, yeah, there's 2 things we have to do. One, I think one of the 2 things happens here. Can you tell me which one?
You have to divide like this. You have to multiply 3 by 2 x.
Yeah, we have to multiply this 3 out because we have a distributive property. That very first thing you want to do. Okay, so let's do that. So we get 15 is greater than or equal to, Blake, 3 times 2 gives me,
10,
and 3 times negative x.
negative 3x.
Yeah. Now, this is basically like example 1 now. Got a couple numbers, and then a term with a letter. It's pretty much what we had here. Couple numbers, and then a term with a letter. Just the letters on the other side. How about Jaden? What would be my my next step?
You would subtract 6, you said?
Yep. So we did the simplify. Okay, we didn't have any like terms, but we did have distributive. So we dealt with that, and now he just said subtract 6. Why subtract? Why not add it?
Because the negative sign is, there's no symbol to the left of it.
So if there's no symbol to the left of the 6, what kind of number is it?
Positive.
It's positive, and we're trying to get rid of it. So he did the opposite. He did negative. Gone. Maya, what's 15 minus 6?
9.
Yep. So 9. Let's think about my sign for a second. Olivia, flip it
No,
or keep it the same?
Not yet.
Yeah, you might see a negative there. But am I dividing by a negative? No. Did I multiply by a negative? No. I subtracted. Don't flip it when you subtract. Okay, so now we've got that. Leilani, what's my last step?
Flip it.
Why? Well, hold on. Why are you saying flip it?
Because. Oh, wait, never mind. You have to divide by 3. Negative 3.
So I'm going to divide by negative 3. Okay, and now what do I want to be careful about? The sign. What do I have to do?
You need to change it.
Now I need to flip it, right? She said divide by negative 3. So when you see that happen, you should be thinking in your head, wait a minute. We just divided by a negative. If I don't flip it, it's wrong. Okay? It's not like anything weird is going to happen that tells you you're wrong. You just got to remember to flip it. Okay. So I'm going to do it right away. Flip it. Negatives and the 3's cancel. Kelsey, what's 9 divided by negative 3? Yep. So negative 3. The x is the only thing that's left. Okay, James, if I asked you to solve, is this okay for a final answer? Well, yes, I still have to graph it, but for the solve part, is that okay?
Yes.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. I might not like it, but it's not wrong, right? I don't like that the variable's on the right. So if we want to fix it, we can. Put the variable over here, put the negative 3 over here. But when you fix it, you've got to remember, okay, it was pointing at the negative 3. It's still pointing at the negative 3. Okay? So the reason I flipped it here is just to get the x back on the side that I like it. Right? But we also had to flip it earlier because we divided by a negative. Okay, so two different things happening there. Okay, so let's number our number line. Okay, for this one, I would put 0 more in the middle because I need some negatives. So don't put 0 right on the left edge. You're going to run out of space. And maybe go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Not the only way to number it, but that's just how I did it. Okay, how about Julia? When I want to graph that, what's my next step? Yep, what kind of circle? Closed? On what number? Perfect. Closed circle, negative 3. Now, Elizabeth, which way do I shade?
I shaded out like there's negative 3.
So you shaded which way? Well, when it's set up as letter, symbol, number, this symbol tells you which way to shade, right? Doesn't matter what this number is. It just matters which way this is pointing. So that's pointing to the right. So we're going to shade to the right. Okay, so remember, you want to try to get it in that format. Letter, symbol, number. Letter, symbol, number. And then the symbol tells you which way to shade. Okay, any, you guys got any questions on that? All right, so let me, why don't you guys try that one. Okay, so I'll put the steps up right there. Okay, you may or may not have to do simplify in this one. And since you have x's on both sides to start, you have a choice which side you're going to put all the x's on. I think you already know what my choice would be. If I'm given the choice, I'm putting all the x's on a certain side. Okay? But you technically have a choice. To take a minute or two, and I'll walk around. If you guys got questions, I'll help you out, and then we'll go over it.
Oh, I figured it. Because I couldn't find it.
All right, so first step here, do I have any distributive property?
You're not, that's why I did. Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about like terms next, but is there any distributive property first?
No.
No parentheses. Now, do I have terms on the same side that can be combined together? No. Look on the left. That's a term with a letter and a term with a number. Those cannot be combined. Okay. Look on the right. That's a term with a letter and a term that doesn't have a letter. Those cannot be combined either. When we're looking for combined like terms, I'm looking for something like that. Term with a letter, another term with the same letter on the same side. Okay, so we'll get to one like that in a minute. But this one, no combined like terms, no distributive property. So now we're at the adding and subtracting step. I always like to get all the letters on the same side first. So you've got a choice. Do you think it would be better to put all the letters on the right or put all the letters on the left? Which way do you think would be better?
Left.
Why left?
I don't know. I just did that.
That's how you did it. Can anybody explain? I do agree with Olivia. I think the left is better. Why? It has to do with when we get to the end of the problem.
For the letter, symbol, number.
Yeah, we want to get letter, symbol, number, because then the symbol tells you which way to shade. If you don't want to do it that way, you're not wrong. I just don't like it as much, but you can do it other ways. So, let's put this on that side. Now that we've decided to do that, I need someone to tell me how. How do I move the 2x to the left? Yep.
Subtract -2x.
Nice. We're going to subtract, what are you subtracting?
-2x. Let's subtract +2x.
Yeah, we're just subtracting 2x. Yep. And subtract 2x. Now 2x minus 2x is gone. The only thing on the right-hand side now is 11. Lucas, what's negative 6x minus 2x?
Negative 8x.
Yep, good. Negative 8x. What about this minus 5? What happens to that? Maya, what happens to that minus 5?
Bring it down.
We just bring it down. We haven't done anything with it yet. Okay, so we just bring it down. And Leilani, what about my symbol?
You bring it down.
Just bring it down. Okay. Now this one is kind of like example 1. Okay. You've got a term with a letter, number, number. Go back to example 1. Term with a letter, number, number. It's pretty much the same thing from here. So how about Tristan, my next step?
You would +5 on both sides.
Good. I'm going to plus 5, plus 5. Mackenzie, negative 5, plus 5. What happens? They're gone. We just cross them out. So now I look what's left. Negative 8x. Okay. And Princess 11 plus 5 is going to give me 16. How about my sign? Should I be flipping it yet?
No.
No, I added. Don't ever flip it when you add. Keep it the same. Now, this is the kind of problems you guys did last week. One step. Okay, we've got it down to as simple as it can be before we finally get x by itself. Yep. I'm going to divide by negative 8. Negatives are gone, 8s are gone. Now, what should I do so I don't forget right away? Flip it. Flip it around. Okay? Because we divided by a negative. And the way I had you guys solve it, we're going to have it set up perfect. Letter, symbol, number. Now I just need the number. 16 divided by negative 8 gives me negative 2. Good. There we go. Okay. Any questions on that one? Okay. Is there anything else I need to do for this problem?
No.
I'm done. It said solve. It didn't say the graph. Okay. So not every problem is going to have a graph. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right. Yeah, let's try this one because we haven't done one like this yet. Okay, but this one, I think this one's going to have the most steps in it. Okay, you do not have to graph. Okay, so take a few minutes. Remember the steps. And I will tell you that this one has a lot of simplifying. It has a lot of simplifying before you even get to the A and the M. Okay, if you get stuck, just let me know and I'll come by and I'll help you out. Yeah.
What would you do with like the 3 minus x?
Well, 3 is a number, minus X is a letter. Those are not like terms, so nothing.
So just, okay.
So there's nothing you can do with these two, but there might be something you can do with those two.
Okay.
Right? That's like a negative 1x and a positive 10x. Those are like terms. See if you can deal with that first. And then we'll take a look at it.
Just like, such as the same.
Okay, who can tell me what my first step should be here?
Yeah.
What's my first thing I gotta do? Yep.
The parentheses, add, multiply, distribute.
I just don't do anything in it.
Okay, so distribute. Yep. We can deal with that first. Let's keep this the same for now.
Or you can use three.
If you wanted, you could have combined like terms at the same time because it's a separate side. It wouldn't mess anything up. But let's distribute first. That's what Joe said. 8x. And what's 8 times 2?
16.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Okay, now the next thing Joe said to combine like terms. Joe, can you just tell me what they are again?
Negative 1x and positive 10.
Negative 1x and positive 10. This 3, nothing's going to happen to it at this step. It's just going to stay right there. What's negative 1x plus 10x? How much? 9x. Yep. 9x. Now, we don't have to worry about any flipping until we get to that step. So don't even think about flipping until you're in the last part of SAM. Right? So now, we have that. 8x plus 16, I just copied it down. Now, look at that problem. And look at this problem. They're pretty much the same from here. You got a number and a letter on the left, number and a letter on the right. That's exactly what we have now. Yep.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yep, just sign up. Okay, so now we've got the choice. We got to get all the letters on one side. Adriana, what side do we try to get the letters on if we can? On what side? Left side. Right? We want to get them on the left side because then when we're done, the inequality tells us which way to shade. So, Jaden, can you tell me how to get the letter on the left side?
You would subtract 8x.
Perfect. Subtract 8x on the right. Subtract it on the left. Maya, what's 8x minus 8x?
0.
0. It's gone. Okay. Jayliana, can you tell me what I will have on the left side now, like the whole thing?
3 plus 1x.
3 plus 9x, take away 8x is 1x, or you could just put x. No problem. Again, don't think even about flipping that sign yet. We might not even have to do it in this problem. We're not in the last step yet. Stephen, what's still on the right-hand side?
16.
Yep. Okay, so we got 16. And now, actually, we're not even going to do the multiplication or division step here. We're gonna get to skip it. My last step is another addition or subtraction. Anyone think they can tell me my my last step? Yeah, Adriana. Perfect. Subtract 3. Subtract 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. Only thing on the left side now is positive x. So we just leave it as x. 16 minus 3, Kelsey? 13.
What is, when this is 3 plus 9x minus 8x.
Oh my god, I got 13.
You got 13?
God. Wouldn't it be 1x?
I got 13.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yes. You can put the 1 in front if you want.
Oh, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
We got it correct.
I did it wrong, but I still got 13.
So remember, anytime you have just a letter, you can put the 1 in front if you want, or you don't have to put the 1. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. Okay. Any question on that one? Before we look at our, well, we got one more, and then the word problem, and then that's it. Okay. Let's do this one together, and then we'll do the word problem together. Who can tell me what is happening in this one that's never happened before? Well, we have distributed before, but what's different about this one?
Oh, there's 2.
There's 2, right? One on the left, one on the right. 2 separate distributive properties. What number am I distributing on the left? Kelsey?
12.
Yep. So we're going to distribute to 12. Let's handle that first. James, what's 12 times x?
12x.
12x. And 12 times negative 2. Well, Kayla? 12 times negative 2? Negative 24. Perfect. Now, should we be flipping the sign? Oh, thank you. Yes, that's important. Do I flip the sign at this step? No, never flip the sign when you're doing distributive. Okay? Always keep it the same. We're not multiplying or dividing each side by a negative. Okay, that's only going to happen in the last step. On the right side, Lucas, what am I distributing there?
3.
Yep. And 3 times 4x?
12x.
12x. And 3 times negative 8?
Negative 24.
Negative 24. Okay. Julia, where should I try to put all my x's? What side? Well, let's see what's going to happen. If they were different, what side do we try to put them on?
The side, so that the sign stays, so the letter number.
So that's the, which side?
The left side?
Left side, yeah.
Sorry, I'm confused.
So normally we want them on the left side. How would I move this 12x to the left side? Don't worry about what's going to happen. Let's just look at the right side. Tell me how to move what's on the right to the left. Yep.
You subtract 12x.
We're going to subtract 12x. And we're going to subtract 12x. Now we need to worry about what's going to happen. What's 12x minus 12x on the left?
0.
0. That's gone. What's 12x minus 12x on the right?
0.
That's also 0. So remember, when all the letters disappear, you're basically done. Let's write what we have left. Negative 24 is greater than negative 24.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Oh, okay.
So what does that mean? That's a no solution. Does anybody remember the other thing that can happen? So this is false. So false means no solution. That's the answer you write. What's the other thing that can happen instead of it being false? Like let's say you ended up with something like 10 is greater than 2. What would that mean? 10 is greater than 2. What's that statement? True or false? That's true. What does true mean? Anybody remember that one? It's like the opposite of no solution. What's the opposite of having nothing as a solution? Yeah.
It means that is a solution.
Not quite. Anyone else take a guess at it? What is it? Infinite, right? We said all numbers. True means all numbers are solutions. So you never want to write false or true, right? In a case like this, you write no solution or all numbers. Yeah. Yep. So remember, these only happen when all your letters disappear. So this is very special. This isn't going to happen a lot. Might happen on one problem on the test, maybe two. But most of the problems, nope. They're going to be just like examples 1 through 4. Okay. So if you were to graph this one, okay, the answer was no solution. When you graph it, you are shading in everything that's a solution. So what would your graph look like if you graph this one? But if you had a number line, what would you shade?
Can't shade like the 0. I don't know.
You'd shade everything that's a solution. And look at what's the answer to this problem.
No, there's
No solution. So what would you shade?
nothing.
Nothing. Okay? If you had a number line and they said graph it, you'd leave it blank. No solution. There's nothing to shade. Right? If it was the other case, where everything is a solution, you'd shade the whole number line with arrows on both ends. You shade everything, going on forever in each direction. Okay? But any questions why this one came out no solution? Usually that's a shorter problem. See how much work? We didn't have to do that much work. It was really 2 steps. Versus one like this was like 3 or 4 steps. Okay, that was longer. All right, so last question. So example 6 says you need a mean score of at least 90 to advance to the next round in a trivia game. These are the scores you've gotten each round so far. The question is, what score do you have to get in the 5th round to make sure that you can advance? Okay. Now, what does that mean again? Mean? Like what's a simpler word for that? Yeah. It's the average.
Isn't that like all of them added up and then divided by the number?
Yeah. So the average is, okay, remember, average is add all numbers together. Try to write that so you can read it. Add all numbers together, and then divide by how many you have. How many you have. So, in this problem, what do they want the average to be? What number? 90. So I'm going to fill in 90 for the average. Now, they don't say that the average has to equal 90 to go to the next round. They say that the average has to be what?
More than or equal to.
More than or equal to. You've got to get at least a 90. That means if you get a 91, you still advance. Or your average is a 92, you'd still advance. So more than or equal to. Whoops, so we want it. Let's write it this way. So that number is a 90. I'm going to put it on that side. That's going to be easier. Now we want our average. We're going to do a calculation in this box. What the calculation is going to be is what we have right here. And we want it to come out more than or equal to 90. So, let's find our average. Okay. How many numbers do I have to add up here to find the average for 5 rounds of trivia? Yep.
Wait, I was answering the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had 4 numbers together.
Plus how many, so there's 4 rounds that we finished, plus, so we finished rounds 1 through 4 of this trivia game,
Yeah.
but we still have
Number 5.
We still have round 5. So we don't know what round 5 is going to be yet. So we'll have to think how we're going to represent that in the top. So we're going to be adding up 5 things. What's the first score that I'm going to add up? Yeah.
95.
95 plus the next score,
91,
91, the next score,
77,
77, next score,
89.
89. So that's what you got in rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. How can we represent the score in round 5 right now? Because we don't know it yet.
X.
X, it's unknown. But once we know it, if you add it up to every other score that you already have and divide by 5, it's got to come out greater than or equal to 90. If you don't have an average greater than or equal to 90, you're not going to go to the next round in this game, like round 6 or whatever it is. Right? So let's see what we get. Okay, we're going to need a calculator to add all that up. 95, 91, 77, 89. So what I did is I just combined like terms. Okay, I added all the numbers together and I got 352. Okay, so that's a little better. Now, this is one of those equations that's a little weird, right? We try to follow Sam, but it's a little weird. The first thing we actually have to do is get rid of the 5. Okay. How would you undo dividing by 5?
Multiply.
Yep, that's always the first step in this kind of problem. Multiply by 5, and that cancels that out. Where else do I have to do it? If I do it on the left,
Multiply it to 90.
multiply it to 90. Okay. So now on the left side, all you have is this, 352 plus x. Now, can somebody tell me, what did I just multiply by? 5. Positive or negative? Positive. Don't flip the sign. And let's just think of what 9 times 5 is, and then we'll just add a 0. 45. So 450. And now I'm already at my last step. What's my my last step? Yep.
You divide 252 now by both sides.
If this wasn't here and the 352 was right next to the x, yes. But since it's a plus, what's the opposite of plus? Yep. Subtract. Subtract and subtract. I know that equation is a little weird, like you have to do that multiply thing first, and it goes out of order from Sam. This is like one of the only kind of problems we do that does that. So it's a little weird, but you just got to remember it. What's 352 minus 352? 0. So the score that you got to get in the 5th round of trivia, let's see what you got to get. 450 minus 352. You got to get a 98 or better. So if you get a 98 or better in the 5th round, then your average will be at least a 90, which gets you to round 6 or whatever it is. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right, so we're not going to do the extra examples today. We'll just skip them. Okay, so remember, last week for term quarter 1, we'll talk more about the take-home test on Thursday again. But this will be your last test for the term.
Oh, do homework.